Hello YouTube, Gaming Goddess here doing a review on Cyber Troopers Virtual on Marz. This is an action-adventure game released on PlayStation 2 in North America and in Japan. Unfortunately, there was no European release for this game. This game is published by Sega, and just by looking at the cover art alone, there's a lot of vibrant colors and the mechs don't look half bad. I could have easily mistaken this as some goofy child's game, but that's not exactly the case. When we start up the game, we have three options of gameplay to choose from: Dramatic, Challenge, and Versus. So let's take a closer look at each of these different modes. First, let's look at Dramatic. This is our main story mode of the game. We got Normal, Hard, Very Hard, and of course for the extremist gamers, there is Ultimate. Once you pick your level of difficulty, we can go ahead and enter the player's name. Of course, you can put whatever you like. They'll never actually say your name in the game anyways. After all that is done, we have our first cutscene with our first mission. This game is no way at all self-explanatory. Basically, we don't even get a brief tutorial on how we're supposed to control the Virtuoids. Depending on the player and their style of gameplay, someone who relies on a tutorial probably should check the controllers out before starting up the story mode. Now about the actual missions in the game. They're all pretty much the same, to be honest. When we watch the briefing scene, the commander tells the player what to do and if there is a time limit or not. And honestly, if you're not fighting the enemy Virtuoids, then you have to protect something, but even then it still involves fighting the enemy. There's just really no way around it. There is also no room for exploring, and it follows a very linear path. As you complete a mission, you are graded on how well you do, E being the complete worst and S being the best. There are times when you complete a specific mission, most of the time a boss fight, where you will be given a new Virtuoid. Keep in mind that the different Virtuoids have their own strengths and weaknesses, so you may want to play around with them to figure out which mech works for you during each mission that you may have to face. Believe me, it is probably for the best because there's just some missions that are extremely hard, and it could be because of your strategy and the type of mech that you're using. So moving on to Challenge mode, we have Normal, Hard, Very Hard, and Time Attack. Challenge is just basically a series of battles against other Virtuoids. If you make it to the end, congratulations, because I've honestly never been able to do it, so I can't really say for sure what it's like. Now for my favorite part of this whole game. Versus is a two-player split-screen mode that allows you to fight against or with your friends. There is a good variety of options in this mode, such as being able to choose a good or bad Virtuoid to play with, picking if you want to be teammates or enemies, and if you want partners or not, the amount of time that you can have, and of course the different stages that you can fight in. So the objective of Versus mode is to destroy the leader, and if you are playing against your friend and y'all are both leaders, it can be really fun trying to destroy your friend in battle. And of course there are some attacks that can be extremely goofy at times, especially if the camera angle is in the right place at the time that you do your final attack on your opponent. It's great. Well, that pretty much covers the general gameplay of this game. Now moving on to some other topics. I have absolutely no complaints about the graphics at all. Yes, it does look like it's something out of a cartoon, but the 3D models move ever so perfectly in the cutscenes. The music, on the other hand, is in fact repetitive. This really got on my nerves, and at times I would often find myself playing with the volume completely off. Not only was the music bad, but they could have done a lot better on voice acting. I felt like the voice actors could have put a lot more emotion into their characters. With all that being said, let's move on to the pros and cons. My biggest pro would have to be the Versus mode and the graphics. Now, I have plenty of cons and complaints about Virtual on Marz. One of them being the fact that the story made no real sense to me, to be honest. I was completely lost sometimes. Not to mention, there is some stages that are just way too hard even on normal mode. The missions are too straightforward, and they give you no room for exploration on top of that. The loading time for the robots to appear on the screen in both story and Versus mode were just way too long for my taste. The voice acting doesn't sound right, and the music is extremely annoying. And finally, there was no small explanation on how to attack or anything like that. I know I've said I hate tutorials, but every now and then I do need one. Overall, Virtual on Mars wasn't as fun as I thought it would be. The cover art is very misleading in my opinion. Honestly, I didn't even finish the game, and I can say for sure I won't be anytime soon. It is just far too painful to get through, and even if I did pick up this game again, it would just be to play the Versus mode. Virtual on Mars gets a 3.5 out of 10 for me. This has been a Gaming Goddess review, and remember to keep on gaming.
Marz, Special Mechanized Investigation Unit in charge of security in the Martian Zone and the Limited Wars. The war for peace begins.